welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The Minnesota Vikings show up. Yeah, they showed up in U.S. Bank Stadium against the Washington Commanders, and they defeated the Washington Commanders after getting shut out last week, 31-0, and get their own shutout. Well, all right, the Vikings survived nicely. JJ McCarthy taking a step forward today. Call it a baby step because it's one game against a battered, injured, and ruined season for the Washington Commanders. You could definitely argue the Vikings season is ruined as well. I mean, what are we, 5-8? I mean, it's best you can be is 9-8. The best the Commanders can be is 7-10. I mean, they're out. They're done. You don't make the playoffs at 7-10. No, I suppose it's humanly possible, but 7-10 sucks, and that would be like going, undefeated the rest of the way to get there. Vikings' best record again could be 9-8, and I don't know. Don't hold your breath on that, but at the same time, the Vikings played an NFL team today, and JJ McCarthy completed 16 of 23 for 163 yards. You're like, okay, 163 yards, like BFD. No, let's continue. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles lost. He did get sacked 4 times, but that's better than before. And, there was no blue screen of death of any kind in this game from JJ McCarthy. It's just simply throwing the ball away, maybe just well defended by the Washington defense on occasion, because Dan Quinn's known to be a pretty good defensive coordinator in his career, along with being a head coach. But I mean, you know how you come from being a coordinator most of the time, like Kevin O'Connell being an offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl champion LA Rams team. So anyhow, JJ McCarthy, who had in a lot of ways historically bad quarterback rating over the course of a stretch of a number of games, has a quarterback rating today of 129.2. So it's not so much about where are all the haters now, but at the same time, good. This is great. So it's great to see JJ McCarthy go out there against an NFL team and put up numbers like that. That's good. Again, he didn't throw for 300 yards. He didn't even throw for 200. But it was a well-managed game. It was a well-managed game by JJ McCarthy as the quarterback. And he looked better than what a game manager quarterback looks like as well. He took chances. He made some nice plays. Had some nice chunk plays and such along the way. But what's also great? It took 14 frickin' games to get there. And how many years is this? How many years is it into O'Connell's career? His 4th year? A balanced offense. Well, gosh darn it, a balanced offense. Aaron Jones ran the ball 14 times, 76 yards. 76 yards, like I just said, about 5.5 a carry. Jordan Mason, 11 rush attempts, 52 yards, and got in the end zone pretty early. That's 128 yards right there between your two running backs. JJ McCarthy added 19, a couple of scampers for first down, and Scott also got 15 yards and 3 carries for 5 yards a carry. So you saw a balanced running approach, and it wasn't like JJ McCarthy was a handoff merchant. You know what I mean? He wasn't just a handoff merchant out there. So it was a combination of passing and throwing. You also saw us running the ball on 3rd and short and getting first downs. What a concept. Wow. Like, where was that all year? I don't know. And I know some of the other defenses were better than what Washington showed today, but it is what it is. Still, it's an NFL franchise. Say what you want about the Washington Commanders. They are an NFL franchise. It still counts. These are still players with pride that want to succeed. They don't want to be 3-10. They want to be better than 3-10, put it that way. Viking players do not want to be 5-8. They don't want to be 4-8. They don't want to be 4-9. It is what it is. I mean, these are NFL players that want to, obviously they're playing for their next contract, no matter how you look at it. even if you have a huge contract and you're overpaid and da-da-da, you're still playing for your next contract one way or another. Like, maybe, you'd like to at least stay in the league at the bare minimum. If people are looking at you like you're just some overrated piece of crap, you'd like to at least stay in the league, have some kind of pride, that type of thing. Jordan Addison with 4 catches, 62 yards, no touchdowns. Josh Oliver, both of his catches were touchdowns, which is hilarious. The early touchdown drive, which was very impressive. McCarthy also orchestrated a 98-yard drive that lasted over 12 minutes, which was one of the longest drives in 25 years, apparently. So very impressive, actually. So, yes, again, it's not a giant step forward because, it needs to be over like a larger sample size on one single game against a team with a losing record, that type of thing. But, hey, he finally won a freaking home game. That's nice as well, instead of looking like crap at home every single time. So very nice to see JJ McCarthy take this step forward. Clearly his best game as a pro so far, because it was a more complete game. It wasn't the fourth quarter versus the Bears. It wasn't the first quarter versus Detroit, and then I forgot what I was doing the last 3.5 quarters. Now we're gonna finish this off. Like, remember, he started super good against Detroit, and then by the end of the game, his quarterback rating was in the 60s. And then Chicago, it was kind of the same thing. It was like, it was pathetic, horrendous. You thought, okay, that's just rookie jitters, though. National TV, it's your first game ever, and the Bears' defense is still decent, at least you think it is. And, look at this guy driving this team to the victory down the stretch. This was pretty impressive. And then, you had the crappy game against Atlanta and the injured ankle, and then, he's out forever, and then he comes back, and then he had the spectacular, again, like the Detroit game, he came back all excited and da-da-da. But this time around, he stayed good the whole game for the most part, McCarthy. Certainly not perfect, obviously, but the quarterback rating was 129.2. It didn't wind up at 63 or 65 or 70 or whatever. It's not even been close throughout his career so far for JJ McCarthy with the quarterback rating. It hasn't even been close to 100 in single games so far along his young career. So very encouraging there. Yeah, because look at his quarterback rating. Somehow it finished at 82 because of the strong drive late against Detroit. But yeah, see, like against the because of the strong finish versus Chicago, it was 98.5. I don't remember it being that high. But I suppose he did have a couple of touchdown passes, and that late drive did help. But then Atlanta, 37.5. Detroit, he had that nice jump up, 82.6. And then Baltimore, 54.5. Chicago, 47.7. And then the 34.2, which is like historic horrendous. It was worse than Spurgeon win, that type of thing. Or no, Spurgeon win was the only starting Viking quarterback single game that was worse. That's how bad that Packer game was for JJ McCarthy. I mean, it was rough. McCarthy almost led the Vikings to victory versus the Bears. And his quarterback rating was in the 30s the whole game. Got it up to 47.7, basically, in a game that, ended up with another bleeping loss. But, see, that's the thing. I don't remember McCarthy having quarterback ratings of 98.5 or whatever. So that's surprising that it was that high. But I suppose, he actually did complete 65% of his passes. He did complete 63% against the Packers, which is weird. But the fact that there were 0 touchdowns thrown in that game, that Packer defense just, flummoxed McCarthy. And he was sacked 5 times. He was sacked 6 times versus the Falcons. 5 times versus Detroit, but still overcame it again. The strong start and the strong finish. It was like kind of sandwiched in to what was almost a nothing burger, but ended up being a pretty good, juicy burger. Dare we say juicy, Lucy, or whatever you want to call it, versus Detroit in Detroit, which is the first Viking win in Detroit in forever. So that was exciting at the time. But, well, for the first time in J.J. McCarthy's career, his quarterback rating was over 100. And it was 129.2. So, freaking awesome. We'll take it. We'll take it. I'm surprised the Chicago game was that high. But I suppose, again, it was that fourth quarter that changed everything, and that's why McCarthy did get that award. But he might get it again this week. But it's like, I don't know. You didn't go on the road and beat a playoff team this time around. You played at home, which is great and everything. It's nice. It's nice to have that home win. Like Kirk Cousins used to have those 300-plus yard games against Detroit. And, wow, that was awesome. 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. He was spectacular, da-da-da. But Kirk Cousins was, in the prime of his career and making, what was he making? Like 35 to plus million a year at the time, which was more than it is now. 38 million a year. a lot more than this rookie 22-year-old. So, yeah, nice to see McCarthy taking this step forward. So we deeply appreciate it now that I've babbled enough. One frustration that's continuing, and you feel bad for the guy, but at the same time, it's like, holy crap. Justin Jefferson, 2 catches for 11 yards. Whew. I mean, and you heard he only has 2 touchdowns all season. That's rough. That's really tough, man. And imagine people that took him in fantasy football and everything. That's tough. That's really tough. 799 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, you might be cutting the guy. Not because he's so bad, but because the quarterback play has been lousy. And even in today's game, it's just a shame. He only got 2 catches for 11 yards when McCarthy had one of his better games. Arguably his best game. In fact, it's his most efficient game as a quarterback. It's a shame. And it's a shame, but I mean, obviously defenses have focused very strongly on Justin Jefferson. But man, it is tough to swallow when you look at that. That's tough. I mean, that is tough stuff. Very tough. Even in 2023, he still might get, you never know, he still might have identical numbers at the end of the year, especially if McCarthy plays up to standards here, like he's heading that direction. He'd only need about 260 more yards or so and 3 more touchdowns to equal 2023, when, of course, the Vikings had terrible quarterbacks that year, too. And it's not like McCarthy's terrible, and today showed that maybe he's not going to be terrible. You're not going to get numbers like that from Josh Dobbs. You're not going to get that. Mullins is going to put up a ton of yardage and touchdowns, but he's going to put up a ton of interceptions as well. So there's that. We'll see how this all turns out at the end of the day. It's wild stuff. Justin Jefferson already has more targets than he did in 2023, which tells you something too, which is really interesting. But again, it was historically bad quarterback play with the balls coming in Justin Jefferson's way until today's game. The best quarterback game was today, and it was a balanced bleeping offense rather than just trying to throw all the time, even on 3rd and short, which is the dumbest, stupidest, most idiotic thing in the history of football when you're doing that. Am I exaggerating when I say that? Probably not. I mean, 3rd and 1, and you have 2 running backs that are starting caliber. Regardless of what I think of Aaron Jones Sr., because I think he's over the hill a little bit, but he's not complete garbage. He's still a starting caliber running back, or a guy that could at least be a platoon at the bare minimum. Jordan Mason could be a platoon at the bare minimum. I think he's more of a starting running back in this league. But either way, if you can get good performances out of Aaron Jones, that's wonderful. But again, and the best part is you're not relying on him to be like the feature back necessarily when you have a Jordan Mason. So that's the exciting part there. Use the guys. That's just plain and simple. You got these nice tools in the drawer for something. Use them. You don't have to do the square peg round hole thing like, oh, no, we're going to do it this way because that's how we do it. That's poor management. And you know what? There's lots of managers, supervisors, coordinators in this world, in factories or wherever, that do the same damn thing because they're stubborn and arrogant. Being stubborn and arrogant is your downfall in any business on the planet, be it sports, factory, office, whatever. Being stubborn is stupid. Adjust, balance, adjust and balance. That's what matters the most. And we saw that a bit today. We did. We saw that a bit, like a lot. And that's good. It's just a doggone shame. That's all that it took so long. It's a doggone shame. Like trying to force feed this rookie 22-year-old to being a guy, to be like a Peyton Manning, basically. To be Peyton Manning, basically, like 3-4 years into his career is, it doesn't sound like a winning formula. It just doesn't. And then you talk about mechanics and such, mechanic this, mechanic that. Well, if his mechanics need that much work, why are you setting up a game plan for Peyton bleeping Manning, basically, to be the Vikings quarterback? What are we doing? What are we doing, laddie? I do not understand. Blast it all. I do not understand. No, I really do not. So that's, it didn't make any sense. That's all. It just didn't really. Defensively, where do we go? Well, we played good defense. Cashman with 10 tackles. Obviously, you get the shutout. Eric Wilson with 6 tackles and sack. Redmond with a sack, 6 tackles. Interception for Harrison Smith. It took half of this. It took 3/4 of the season. But thank you very much. Harrison Smith, great. Andrew Van Ginkel had a near pick 6 along the way with 2 overall pass deflections. Really appreciated there. And again, this is what was missing in some of those close games, like against the Bears and such. The doggone, the doggone interception or forced fumbles. Where were they? You did have that against Seattle last week, but then the offense was putrid crap garbage from hell because, you threw in Brosmer with a game plan that didn't work. It was a poor game plan. You didn't prepare Brosmer to play against the Seattle Seahawks. You prepared Peyton Manning or whoever to play against the Seattle Seahawks. And I hate to tell you that Brosmer is not Peyton Manning. I'm sorry. Not even close. Even though Peyton Manning threw a lot more than he ran, like as a quarterback. He wasn't a mobile guy, really. He could be when he wanted to be, but very rarely. Mr. Brosmer. It didn't, it wasn't a good game plan for him. Did he perform well? No. Was the game plan good for Max Brosmer? No. Same thing with McCarthy all season until today. Doggone it. Why did it have to take 14 weeks? Why? I mean, you just maybe might have been kind of closer to within striking distance of a playoff berth or something, and a quarterback with a little more confidence until today. He looked confident out there. That's what I liked when he was escaping some of the rushes and throwing the ball down the field for some competent completions that led to first downs. It was wonderful. So wonderful to see. So very encouraging signs in this game. Now, real quick, want to tribute to a certain team right now playing in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The team that's on the road, by the way. NFC Central Division collision type of thing. Central. NFC North Division collision. Excuse me. Central. Man, am I stuck in the past. But I was there for it, dang it. I was there for it, and it was good enough, damn it. I used to rip phone books, and no, I didn't. Anyhow, just to give you my bias for this game. Yeah, don't get mad at me, okay? Please. You're cheering for the Bears too, aren't you? Please tell me you're cheering for the Bears. You're cheering for the Bears. Admit it. Come on. You don't want the Packers to win, do you? Yes, bear down Chicago Bears. Let's go. Let's go. If the Vikings aren't going to make the playoffs and somebody in the NFC North is going to go on some big old playoff run, I'd much rather it's the Chicago Bears. Why not? Detroit, well, they had their chances, and quite frankly, it's on them. It's on them. They couldn't beat the Commanders last year. They went 15 games. They make a mockery of the Vikings in the season finale. 15 bleeping games. They make a mockery of us, and they can't even win one playoff game in their own house. I mean, that's on you. I'm sorry, that's on you. Green Bay, they've had about 100,000 chances. NFC title game here, NFC title game there. 49ers beat them. This team beat them. The Seahawks beat them all those years ago, in that frustrating game in Seattle. The Packers should have won that game, actually, but they just didn't, They just didn't. Seattle came up with their stupid little miracles. Thankfully, their little magic wand or whatever ran out of magic points when they tried to run the ball on the goal line. It sounds like something O'Connell might have done until today. Yeah, sounds like something he might have done. We'll move off of that real quick. But, yeah, that was bad. Ooh, that was bad. But I was happy with the result of that Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Yes, I was. Get mad at me all you want. Go Patriots. 1,000 times over the Seahawks, especially that Seahawks team with all their big mouths everywhere. But anyhow, we'll get off of that right here, right now. Again, wonderful baby step forward today. You could say it's a solid baby step forward. Again, you need a bigger sample size. Yes, McCarthy, I think, has a chance. I think there's a pulse. So I'm very happy to say that. I'm very happy to say there is a pulse with JJ McCarthy. I think there is. I don't think he's, Jaron Hall. I don't think he's Max Brosmer. I don't think he's Spurgeon Wynn. And I also would like to believe, I would really, 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 really like to believe he's not Christian Ponder either. I'd like to believe that there's still a legitimate franchise quarterback in JJ McCarthy. So what is it, his 7th start? So let's go. Looking forward to what JJ McCarthy can do next Sunday night versus the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. That's not going to be easy at all. Vikings historically have been thrashed in those kind of games, unfortunately. I mean, when was the last time we played in... wait a minute, we did win one of those, didn't we? Yeah, we won one of those during the Mike Tice era, or excuse me, Mike Tice era, Mike Zimmer era, and then Mike Zimmer accidentally said, "You like how this tastes?" You mean you like that? That was funny. He actually accidentally said that, and they're like, whoops. It's, Mike, let's keep this at least R-rated if we can. I couldn't believe, I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, you like how it tastes. Like, you probably meant to say you like how this loss tastes, to you guys, you you like how it tastes seeing us win, whatever. But it sounds worse than that. Okay, now I'm digging a hole for myself here. But, so we did have at least one of those Sunday night wins. And I think it was in Dallas. It was like, hell yeah, we finally did something right. And it was with Cousins or whatever, finally winning one of those primetime games. But anyhow, then years later, was it that fun season in 2022, we played the Cowboys at I believe that was here. Yes. And we got absolutely throttled. It was just awful. But this certain guy who's on the Packers right now was running us over really bad. This defensive player that pass rush is really good. And he's on the Packers now. And he did the same thing to us last week, really bad. It was awful. It was not last week, 2 weeks ago. It was awful, man. It was McCarthy's most recent game before today. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll see how McCarthy does against the Cowboys. Micah Parsons is not on the Cowboys, so we'll see. They've been playing a lot better lately. Doesn't mean they're going to be this great team or anything, but they have been playing better, the Cowboys. We'll talk about that in segment number 2. That's going to be the subject matter, obviously looking around the league as well. The Fran Tarkington Award winner for today's game. Well, I mean, am I going to do the same thing when the Vikings win with McCarthy at quarterback? Yeah, I have to. Yes. Yes, for taking these steps forward, JJ McCarthy is going to get the Fran Tarkington Award winner. Okay, yes, call me a tool, call me this, call me that. Yes, JJ McCarthy is the Fran Tarkington Award winner for this game. The Christian Potter Memorial, I don't know. Well, Jefferson was targeted 4 times. He had 2 catches for 11 yards. In a game like this, I don't know. I mean, he was defended well, but I don't know. I think he struggled in today's game. I don't like giving him the Christian Potter Memorial. I can't really rip anybody on the defense. They got a shutout. I can't. I can't do it. Special teams, they didn't have any huge gaff either. Even Wright didn't have a touchback. Yeah, so like Ryan Wright, he punted one time for 43 yards, once. The kicker, Will Reichert, he almost missed his 45-yarder. That was one thing. That was a little scary. He almost missed it. I mean, that thing's barely squeezed through. It's like, ooh, but it went in. Hey, it went through. So, I don't know. Maybe he got a little comfortable because I can make a 60-yarder. I mean, 45. That's just, like, it's like shooting a free throw kind of for him. But then, obviously, free throws don't always go in, do they? No, they don't. Sometimes they rim out or they brick or whatever. So, this one almost bricked. Thankfully, it didn't. 45-yard kick made by Will Reichert. So I guess just to be fair and honest and, again, not being a tool. Justin Jefferson's bringing home the Ponder Memorial. I mean, if he heard this, he'd hate me. He'd probably shut the hell up. What's wrong with this idiot? Well, he didn't play well. He didn't play particularly well. Yes, he was defended well and all that. And McCarthy happened to throw his touchdown passes to guys like Oliver. And at least one of those targets was what should have been a touchdown. You wish it was. You really do. It's unfortunate that didn't work out. So that's where we're going for this episode. With that, we'll take a quick break, look around the league, preview the Dallas Cowboys Sunday night game next week. And we are back here on Purple Mafia segment number 2. Time to look around the league and, of course, preview the upcoming game against the Dallas Cowboys, Sunday Night Football. And that will also be Detroit. That was a Thursday night game this past week. It was Detroit and Dallas. So in division and, of course, next week's opponent. But, so that'll be the last game we look at, of course. That was Thursday Night Football. So usually I open up with that. This time, no, it'll be the last one. Well, let's look at maybe one of the lamer games of the list. The Tennessee Titans win their second game of the year, knocking the Cleveland Browns to their 10th loss of the year. They've only won 3 games. Vince Germano, I'm sure, not too thrilled about this. Cam Ward completed 50% of his passes for his second win of his career. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 70.1. Pollard, though, Tony Pollard, great game, former Cowboy, 121 yards. He's obviously been pretty good on the Titans, with a, renaissance type of run as players like to do, like Henry over in Baltimore and so on and so forth. 161 yards and 2 touchdowns for Pollard and almost 6.5 yards a carry, so good for him. The Titans definitely nice performance there. Sanders really was out there as well. The accuracy not so great, but the overall numbers kind of encouraging if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. Let's see, he ran for a touchdown, 29 yards total there. He threw 3 touchdown passes. This is Shedeur Sanders, by the way. Yes, the guy who ended up being a 5th-round pick. Of course, he was supposed to be a 1st-round pick, but the attitude didn't help his cause. 23 of 42. Again, the accuracy not great, but 364 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He did throw 1 interception. And nope, he did not lose a fumble, but 3 or 4 total touchdowns counted to Shedeur Sanders if you happen to have him in fantasy football. If you were desperate and trying to make a move and see what could happen there, well, it worked out pretty nice. And sometimes things do work out nice in that case. The Chiefs and the Houston Texans flashing on the screen, definitely playoff implications here. The Chiefs lose this one. They drop to a 16% possibility of making the postseason. They win, they remain around 66. Houston goes all the way up to 92% apparently, and then but otherwise I forget if they drop it into the 40% range if they were to lose. Unfortunately, this one is in Kansas City, so we'll see how it turns out. You know who I'm rooting for in this game. It's not the Chiefs. All right. Well, congratulations to Cleveland and Shedeur Sanders. Well, I mean, congratulations to Shedeur Sanders having a good game, but unfortunately, the Browns don't win the football game. So that's interesting how that turned out. 2 rookie quarterbacks going at it. One that went number 1 overall, and one that could have gone a lot higher if not for, some negative attitude type nonsense. Just arrogance. Arrogance doesn't get you anywhere in this world. At least it shouldn't. Some people it does, and it's a shame. You wish they didn't go as far as they do. Seattle Seahawks versus the Atlanta Falcons. 2 teams going in polar opposite directions. Many years ago, this was a pretty epic divisional round game where Atlanta edged out an improving Seattle team back in 2012. They knocked out an improving Seattle team and went to the Super Bowl only to give up a 25-point lead to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, which was, in my opinion, the day Tom Brady became the GOAT, the greatest of all time, was that game. I'm getting this mixed up. Nope, they lost to the 49ers in the conference championship. That is wrong. That was 2012, yeah. The Falcons got to the Super Bowl 3 years later. Let's get off of my silly memory here. Sam Darnold threw 3 touchdown passes, 1 interception, so always got to have some of that turnover stuff. But unfortunately, the Seahawks crushed the Falcons 37-9. Unfortunately for the Falcons anyway. The Falcons dropped to 4-9 on the season. The Seahawks are now 10-3. They have a shot at home field. We'll see how that turns out. Darnold completing 2/3 of his passes, 20 of 30 for 249, 3 touchdowns and an interception. But an overall good performance. Smith Njigba with 2 receiving touchdowns, 7 catches, 92 yards to help lead the way for the Seahawks. On the Falcons side of things, Kirky McClutcheton completed only 50% of his passes, 15 of 30, 162 yards, 1 yard less than JJ McCarthy, or was it the same amount? But 2 interceptions and a quarterback rating down where McCarthy's was on his worst game of the season, 38.5. Kirk Cousins. So again, well, let's not even go there. Seattle's defense is really good. So I should not even, Seattle's defense is really good. I can't be talking too much smack here about Kirk Cousins, and I don't really want to, yay. He's, kick a guy in a team that's down. Like, yay. You know what I mean? Bijan Robinson, solid performance, 86 yards. The alligator, with 34 yards on the ground. But overall, Kyle Pitts was the star player, and fantasy was indicating get him out there. He had 90 yards and 6 catches, but unfortunately no touchdowns. The offense just wasn't clicking, generally speaking, in the red zone, and Atlanta wound up with 3 field goals in the game. So unfortunate for the Atlanta Falcons. They are dropping like a man without a parachute. Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. Looked like Cincinnati was blowing out Buffalo on a very snowy day in Buffalo, New York. Joe Burrow with 4 touchdowns, but then 2 ridiculous interceptions as things started going the wrong way for the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, kind of shades of some of those ugly plays by McCarthy and Max Brosmer were committed by Joe Burrow. Yeah, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like pick 6 nonsense. Yeah, it was like he throws the ball. It went right to the defensive lineman. The defensive lineman just kind of stuffed it like, I don't know, like Hakeem Olajuwon or something in the NBA. Just, many years ago, or like Wemby or something. Currently with the Spurs with the block shot, just kind of took it away out of the air. Just kind of blocked it and took it. And, wow, 2 very ugly interceptions by Joe Burrow, and everything changed very dramatically for the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Buffalo Bills ended up winning a game that it looked like they were getting blown out of. 4 touchdowns, but those 2 interceptions changed everything in a pretty dramatic football game. It's too bad. I mean, it shows how good the Bengals could be with a healthy Joe Burrow. This could have been a spectacular playoff game. Unfortunately, it's going to be, the Buffalo Bills are going to make the playoffs. Bengals are not, and that's a shame. And it's easy to be a Bengals fan when you see Joe Burrow out there healthy. I like the Bengals a lot, especially with Joe Burrow. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. And, some comparisons with McCarthy were Joe Burrow, particularly in Michigan and all that. But, we'll see what happens. It's unfortunate how things went south here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Buffalo Bills, what are they, 9-4 on the season? Bengals dropped to 4-9. That's the coffin. I mean, you're guaranteed a losing season already. Teams could make the postseason with an 8-9 record. I don't see Cincinnati winning out the rest of the season and making the playoffs. It's simply not going to happen. It's just the last few years for Cincinnati. Just snake bit with injuries, bad defense. It's just a damn shame. It really is. In fact, the Vikings roasted and toasted them earlier in the year with Jake Browning at quarterback in the U.S. Bank Metrodome. I mean, the U.S. Bank Stadium. I'm just playing around. But, man, an epic battle this was. Could be a great playoff game, but unfortunately everything went south. Josh Allen, absolutely spectacular. 3 touchdowns, on a quarterback rating of 139.7, 22 of 28. James Cook, the third, 18 rushes, 80 yards. He fumbled twice, but only lost 1. Oh, he only lost 1 fumble. Josh Allen also got in the end zone. It's understandable why you might fumble. It's still, you're hoping to hang on to the ball. It's kind of slippery. It's white out there. It's snowing pretty good. It was one of those games where they pull out the little snow blower so you could see all the hash marks and everything. So, but it just was not Cincinnati's day, and it ended up being Buffalo's day. Maybe this is a momentum builder for the Buffalo Bills going forward. We'll see if they do wind up going to the Super Bowl after all. Maybe. I just hope this 6-6 team flashing on the screen tonight on NBC is not headed to the Super Bowl. We'll have to wait and see. Miami Dolphins, were they playing in cold weather today? Oh, come on, what the hell? And everything's just stopping. My computer's acting like Tua in cold weather right now. Everything's, would you please? I'm about to drop a F-bomb here. For bleep's sake, just go forward. Oh, that's freaking annoying. Okay. All right. Yes, this is MetLife Stadium. It is outside, right? Miami Dolphins have won 4 games in a row, haven't they? They were 2-7, dead. Now they're 6-7, and they're kind of semi back in the hunt. Don't get your hopes up if you're a Dolphins fan, but they're kind of back in the hunt. Tua wasn't exactly spectacular in this game. 127 yards passing, did not throw an interception though, but the running game was absolutely ridiculous. Wright was the right choice, I suppose, with 24 rushes, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Arcane, who was great last week. Arcane the Hurricane, I guess you could call him. ran the ball in for a touchdown. Gordon the second ran the ball in for a touchdown. 3 rushing touchdowns for the Miami Dolphins, and that ended up being a difference maker. Tua fumbled but did not lose the ball. Tua fumbled but did not lose the ball. Miami ran for over 200 yards in this game. It looks like about 220 yards rushing in this game. Big difference maker. And it was the New York Jets. They weren't exactly going up against, the Broncos or anything. Yeah, the Broncos. That team. Cook was the quarterback for the Jets. 2 interceptions, 14 of 30. Quarterback rating in the 35.8. That range, that's just like, oh boy, ouch. Yeah, that. Where it's so bad, you're just like, bleep it. Like, this game sucks. And the game did suck for the Jets. They're now 3-10. The Dolphins are 6-7. So yes, they took care of business. Tua didn't do all that much. They were able to succeed in cold weather. Good for them. Who's next? Tampa and New Orleans. You got some Southern hospitality here on both sides of the ball. Tampa hosted the New Orleans Saints, needing a win like they needed to breathe. Raymond James Stadium, the pirate ship, whatever the heck you want to call it, and they lost to the Saints. They lost to the Saints. That's one of those games where you're like, can I just get my money back, please? Please. I spent how much again to go to watch this stupid team play like this and lose to this really stupid team over there? Are you for real? Like, really? Really? I paid again, how much? Like, do you understand why I don't go to games anymore? Anyone? Do you understand why I don't go to games anymore? Especially when you can just sit right here with a TV, right behind this microphone. And if you want to do some podcasting, especially, why would I go to the game? You know what I mean? That's why I don't go to games. Call me a lousy fan. Call me this or that. But, hey, if you give me media credentials, well, okay, you might see me there. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Why should I? Baker, not Blake, but Baker. It might have been Blake Mayfield, whoever that is. Just some random guy called Blake. 14 completions out of 30 passes. And yes, the Saints, again, have some remnants of that good defense before. But, good God, what happened here, Tampa? What's going on? I mean, they're shipwrecked. That's probably the best way to describe the Buccaneers right now. Their playoff hopes are being shipwrecked right now by the New Orleans Saints, who came marching in with a bunch of, guys that are not starters, basically. Let's put it that way. It's pretty bad. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 55.1. Not what the fans paid for at Raymond James Stadium. Show, if I'm saying it correctly, had a higher quarterback rating over on the New Orleans side, and he didn't even throw a touchdown pass. He had an interception in the game. 65.4. Lousy, dowsy. New Orleans, 24-20 over the Bucks, who played like a bunch of schmucks, or another word that rhymes that starts with a F. We'll get off of that. You sons of guns. Indianapolis Colts. Remember when they were like the number 1 team in the AFC? Well, just keep that as a memory because it ain't going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. They got throttled by the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville, Florida, who are leading the division now, 9-4 on the season. Colts dropped to 8-5. The Colts are in serious trouble because Daniel Jones, who had already had some issues with injuries, kind of like flaring up a bit. Some people say it's feared to be an Achilles. Others say it's actually a broken bone in that similar area. It's actually a broken bone, not an Achilles. But either way, probably that's it. And then you have a guy named Leonard as quarterback, 18 of 29. He threw an interception, was sacked once, quarterback rating in the 60s. And Daniel Jones wasn't all that special when he was out there. Now, of course, it was one of those, again, non-contact injuries, dropping back to pass. And down goes Frazier, even though his name isn't Frazier. He went down. One of those. You know how that works? Like Kirk Cousins, non-contact. It was like pop. Aaron Rodgers, non-contact. Pop, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to make light of it. It's just, it sucks. It's unfortunate. And just be happy that's not you, I guess. I mean, just be happy it's not you because it's not a good day. It's not a good day. Whether you're a professional athlete, just a random person walking on the street, or you're at work and something like that happens. It's a bad day. It's a really, really bad day. Whether it's like a 6-week injury or a 11 or like a 10-month injury or something, it's a really bad day. You know, you don't want to think about being hurt. It sucks. really sucks. Jacksonville looking real good. Not a whole lot to say on the Colts side. Trevor Lawrence, remember him? Yeah, 17 completions out of 30, 244. He did not throw an interception. Congratulations right there. That gives him, you know how it's like that? You could be the greatest quarterback ever. Hardly ever throw interceptions. You're just amazing. And then when you do, everybody's pissed off, right? Like say you're this great inspector at work and you miss one stent out of like 10,000, or you miss one, defect out of 10,000. And it's like, what the bleep happened? And then this other moron misses defects like every couple of days. And they got through the week without a defect. Oh, let's have a huge celebration. That's kind of what it's like sometimes. Sorry, why am I getting into that? Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, well, he didn't have a defect today, at least not in the interception department. But no, he did not. Trevor Lawrence didn't fumble either. So no defects. No defects by Trevor Lawrence. Good job. Nick Mullins also passed for one completion and 3 yards. Awesome. And he was in the locker room, having fun with the other guys with their head coach who was having a lot of fun, and they went 9-4. So good for them. Travis Etienne Jr., 2 touchdowns on the ground again. Another one of those physical, get the job done type of days for Travis Etienne Jr. Smash mouth style, 20 rushes, 74 yards, about 3.5 a carry. Nothing special at all, but got in the end zone twice. Simply got the job done. 2-ton fumbled twice and lost one. I don't think they're big fans of him right now for that kind of nonsense, but at least they blew out the Colts, who are pretty much on their way out of the playoff picture. They're in it right now, but it's probably over. And unfortunately, you hope it's Houston entering that slot versus this other team wearing, red, white, and yellow. I like the color scheme of the Chiefs, but that's about it, because they look like the Atlanta Hawks, I like the Atlanta Hawks classic color scheme. I like the combination of red, white, and yellow, but especially red, yellow, and white even more. But I don't know. I used to like the Chiefs, but not anymore. Not for a long. I won't for a long time, I'm sure. But anyhow, classic black and blue division. Remember we always called the NFC North black and blue, but this is really black and blue. Pittsburgh and Baltimore are about as black and blue as it gets, or black and purple, because it's black and purple, and it's black and purple, yeah. There's a little bit of blue in the logo for the Steelers, yay. Aaron Rodgers, he's alive. Oh, this one guy that we let go last week, I didn't even talk about it because I'm a jackass. Well, actually, we didn't let him go until after the podcast was over. Adam Thielen is no longer Minnesota Viking. It was kind of a very depressing, return. Kind of like, shades of Randy Moss in 2010, but not nearly as negative and toxic as Randy Moss's attitude when he came back here, especially when he left or when he was on his way out. He made an absolute A of himself, a-hole of himself. Not a big Randy Moss fan, actually. I felt betrayed as a Viking fan with his behavior, honestly. I did, because for the longest time, he was actually my all-time favorite player. Not anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Similar with Garnett. I don't like his attitude either. Timberwolves, yeah, that guy. Don't like his attitude. And we might not agree on some off-the-field stuff either. In fact, probably not a whole lot of things. Probably not. Adam Thielen, odds are we might. We might, but I don't completely know the way Adam Thielen looks at the world. 1 catch, 4 yards. Targeted that one single time. Apparently he was out there considered the number 2 receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Can you believe that? And, well, only Metcalf, who was the number 1, clearly, was targeted 12 frickin' times, 7 catches, 148 yards. Everyone else, well, they were targeted. Well, they were targeted a little more. Austin III was targeted twice. Sharonik targeted once. Thielen targeted once. Valdez-Scantling, the former Packer, was targeted once. So, yeah, he was basically considered the number 2 receiver out there. Number 2 receiver snapped for the Steelers. Rumors are that Thielen actually could have wound up with the Green Bay Packers if Rodgers was still there. They developed a friendship over the years and a mutual respect type of thing. I think a lot of Viking fans would have been pissed off and felt betrayed. I'm at a point, it's like I'm over it, whatever. You know what I mean? Like say if he wound up on the Packers, it'd be a little bit annoying, but it's like BF, you know what I mean? At the end, Adam Thielen wasn't getting a whole lot of separation. Even his last tenure here, his last season in the Vikings, or with the Vikings, he wasn't getting a whole lot of separation. And then he had some kind of miracle renaissance with the Carolina Panthers, and God blessed him. I think that's great. Good for him. And then when he came back, it's like, well, whoa, okay, I guess he played 1 year too many. Yeah, like, what was his name? Kind of like, I don't even know what I'm talking about here. Harmon Killebrew playing for the Royals. It was like the 1 year too many where he batted like 150 or something. It's like, what happened to him? Jeez. Well, he played 1 year too many, and that's kind of Thielen this year. Let's get off of that. Aaron Rodgers, 284 yards in the air, 23 of 34, one passing touchdown, and the quarterback rating just over 103. Good for him. Ravens have been a massive disappointment, though they had won several games in a row, including beating us. But generally speaking, they've been a colossal disappointment this year when I had them actually going to the Super Bowl. Losing to the Niners of all teams, but because they've had like 45 injuries. Steelers go up to 7-6. Ravens drop to 6-7. Come on, where's Lamar Jackson? Yeah, Lamar Jackson, just another meh, just meh. Quarterback rating of 71, one interception. 219 yards, one touchdown, one interception. He did run one in, so good for him. Showing that athleticism, but he's starting to look more like just, I don't know. Like the MVP superstar Lamar Jackson is looking more like a mediocre guy. He's starting to look like, who was the former Steeler quarterback? Cordell Stewart. He's starting to look more like him. Just turnovers, mediocre numbers. But he can run, though. Yeah, great. Or Justin Fields, guys like that. Christian Ponder. No, not quite that bad. Christian Ponder wasn't as fast and athletic. He had athleticism, but he was always like a step short, it felt like. And Houston, hopefully that stands. There is a flag. Nobody's celebrating. That sucks. Bleep you. It's probably going to go against the Houston Texans. Come on, you son of a gun. Okay. Well, again, there's the illegal shift. Okay. Bull crap. Anyhow, Derrick Henry, again, like I said, the Renaissance running back type of thing. Like Tony Pollard with the Titans. He's been wonderful in the Titans, but they've been worthless last couple of years. Whereas Derrick Henry, obviously, he's been, smash mouth, getting those hard work yards, those workhorse yards. 25 rushes, 3.8 a carry, but didn't get in the end zone. And Baltimore drops to 6-7. It's just, I don't know. It is what it is. Pittsburgh's kind of hanging on to dear life for the postseason. If Adam Thielen thinks he's going to get a ring in Pittsburgh, I just don't know. I don't know. And a bigger role. Well, he had a bigger role, but it didn't seem to mean a whole lot, did it? But kind of like Randy Moss in Tennessee. Yo, what up, Tennessee? I caught the ball like twice and came back after a year off with the 49ers, and then alligator armed a potential game-winning Super Bowl touchdown to wrap it up and watch the Baltimore Ravens celebrate. Alligator arms all the way to the end. Like I said, I lost respect for Randy Moss years and years ago, and it ain't coming back. Not without God's help, like literally. 31 of 38. What the heck is this? Well, what was every pass? Like 5 yards or something at most? Geez, 212 yards on 31 completions for Bo Nix. Denver Broncos, yeah, it was against the Raiders. They suck. 2-11. Raiders dropped to 2-11. The Broncos have won 10 in a row? Yeah, they started the season 1-2. It was like, yuck, they don't look so good. Well, they're the number one seed right now, apparently. But if I'm a betting man, I'm picking the Patriots over the Broncos. Let me tell you, I mean, the Patriots are better than the Broncos, especially long term. The Broncos are having a nice year. They made the playoffs last year and sucked and did a whole lot of nothing. They got, they were the classic, yay, we made the playoffs, and got their asses handed to them in the first round. And that was all you needed to know. I don't see this Broncos team winning any Super Bowl, but I suppose I didn't see the 2015 Broncos winning the Super Bowl either. I mean, I really didn't. Thought the Patriots were going to beat them, and then they Patriots had them, and they just didn't finish the job. They just didn't execute in the final play of the game, basically. And other plays that I'm sure were left on the field. And because of that, Denver defense was pretty good back then, and it is now, all these 10 years later. Trying to bring home another championship to Denver, I suppose. Crazy to think that franchise was 0-4 in the Super Bowl, and now they're 3-4, aren't they? Yeah, nope, 3-5. They did lose their 5th Super Bowl. That's right. They got absolutely throttled by the stupid Seahawks. Yeah, who can forget that? Ugh. Seahawks. That's right. They got absolutely smoked. Remember that game? It lasted about 5 seconds. It was kind of like Vikings Giants. It was kind of like one of those, It was like a 41 donut type of game where it's like, what the hell just happened here? It was like one weird mistake after another, and then it was just an absolute, trouncing. Let's move on. This is crap. I mean, who cares about the Raiders? They're terrible. So we're going to move on quickly here. For the sake of time, I've been babbling enough. Bears and Packers, classic. Unfortunately, the wrong team won there. As you heard, my strong support for the Bears, but it didn't work out. Rams versus Cardinals, you probably have a pretty good idea where this would have gone, even without even knowing what the score was or anything. Just, the Rams won. Yeah, they did. 45-17. And this was in State Farm Stadium, wherever that is in Arizona. Yeah, it was one of those. Matthew Stafford is one of those too. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. One of those. The thing. 131.2 quarterback rating. 22 of 31. It was one of those. Don't you love when people say that? I mean, I say it way too often. It was one of those. Yeah, just an absolute, big numbers everywhere on the Ram side. And the Cardinals, well, they played like a Cardinal versus a Ram, basically, Just kind of imagine what a Cardinal would do against a Ram in a fight. Seriously. Just imagine. Corum, running back. Los Angeles Rams, 12 rushes, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. Crazy. Just exploded multiple times. Almost 11 yards a rush. Houston's up 3-0, but this isn't a live broadcast. Sometimes I wish it was, because it could be. I basically act like this is a live broadcast when I do it, which probably raises the quality of the show. Williams, obviously the main guy over there in Los Angeles. 13 rushes, 84 yards, 6.5 a carry, and got in the end zone once as well. Like I said, it was one of those. Puka Nacua, 7 catches, 167 yards. Are you kidding me? 2 touchdowns. Are you kidding me? Parkinson, thankfully he doesn't have... okay, we'll get off of that. 3 catches, 32 yards, and also a touchdown. Even Jimmy Garoppolo came in with 3 rushing attempts and -4. What do you think that was for? That would be called victory formation, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what it was. That's what that's called, victory formation. 3 rushing attempts, -4. Bringing that old rushing or yards per rush down just a few, because that doggone victory formation, it just ruins your rushing average, doesn't it? Oh, bastards. Yeah, that's pretty much what that was. If this was a St. Louis Rams podcast or an Arizona podcast, I would literally, that would be the title of the episode, one of those. Just look at this. Good God. You just look at the numbers, and it's just like, holy smokes. Jeez. And yes, the Rams are probably the best team in the NFC right now. We'll see if it holds up. The funny part is Jacoby Brissett was pretty respectable. I like Jacoby Brissett. He would have been a nice bridge quarterback here with the Minnesota Vikings if we weren't if you wanted to let McCarthy kind of develop that type of thing, or at least like a nice backup, especially during the stupid ankle and concussion situations that popped up. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't hurt his shoulder like poor Carson Wentz, 25 of 44, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I just like Brissett's game. I'm a fan. I am. Kind of reminds me of Cunningham a little bit. A little bit. He's kind of got that smooth release, that kind of thing. 80.8 quarterback rating. He's an excellent backup. Seriously, he is. And anybody talking about Kyler Murray coming to Minnesota, by the way, count me out. Out. I'll take my chances with JJ McCarthy next year. And if it's a flop, then hope to God you have a high draft pick in 2027. It is what it is. If McCarthy ends up being a legitimate player, then heck yeah, go us. Interestingly enough, though, this really was an epic performance on both sides of the ball for for certain players in Arizona. Like I said, Brissett had pretty good numbers. Wilson on Arizona had 11 catches and 142 yards with 2 touchdowns. That's pretty freaking good. So wonderful fantasy numbers, at least for those guys. Let's move into the important stuff, the NFC North. And, of course, that includes the preview going into next week, and we can move on and get 2 calls from Mad Martin. 2. Mad Martin is making up for time lost, I suppose. And he is absolutely an elite Hall of Fame level caller on this show. I mean, I could imagine us doing a show together someday, or even like a segment. Be unbelievable. Heck, I mean, Let's Packers 28-21. Unfortunately, they fell down. The Bears fell down. Like Carl Gerbschmidt on Barrera are called in like, fall down, Chicago Bears. Ha ha ha. You're not in first, and that's he's probably gonna say the exact same thing. Fall down, Chicago Bears. Ha 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 ha. You're not in first. No, they're not in first. The Packers are in first place. Yep, Packers are in first place. I know, it's just the most wonderful feeling ever, isn't it? We all probably know a Packer fan or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 600, I don't know. A lot of the ones I particularly know are nice people. Occasionally they'll talk a little smack, and that's okay. I've generally, but like the ones I actually know, like say if you're just kind of generally going on Twitter or whatever, I'd have to say Chicago fans are much more respectful than, say, Packer fans and Detroit fans and stuff like that. That's just, but like just generally people you know, it's a different ball game. You tend to get along with people you know well and you're friends with already, regardless if they're a Packer fan or Bears fan or Viking fan or whatever the heck. But yeah, this is the oldest rivalry in the NFL. Oldest rivalry there is. It's over 100 years old. It is what it is. 28-21. It was in Lambeau Field, and the Packers took a lead. The Bears came back, and then the Packers kind of pulled away. In the end, depressing. Caleb Williams, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just not that great of a day. A lot of incomplete passes, and that Packer defense is legit. They could go all the way. Yeah, they could. They could. I'm not excited about the thought, and you know what? They still have to beat the Los Angeles Rams or even the Seahawks. You know how much faith I have in the Seahawks in the postseason, especially against this Packer defense? None. None. Against the LA Rams? Absolutely none. Because we saw what happened to Sam Darnold last year against the Rams. So, prove me wrong, Sam Darnold. Prove me wrong against the Rams, Sam Darnold. We'll see. But I think Seattle's going to be a big, giant 3 at the end of the day. I think they're going to get a nice bronze medal for the NFC when it all matters at the end of the day. Like, yay, you're the 3rd best team in the NFC, and that's all you're going to be, at best. Probably. We'll see what happens. Maybe the 4th. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I can't see them beating the Rams. I can't. The Bears, maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Packers, maybe. That's probably the one defense in the NFC that might be able to beat the Rams in their spectacular combination of offense and defense. But I did not see the Rams being this good. I didn't. Unfortunately, the Packers they've been in the mix this whole time. The Bears have been a wonderful surprise. They've jumped up nicely. DeAndre Swift, former Detroit Lion, has been a nice find for the Bears. Montez Sweat, guys like that. They got some talent over there, but more like what the heck? He only had 1 catch today. Kmet, Burton the third, guys like that. He had some moments, but nothing super exciting on the Chicago side of the ball. Kind of like how the Packers made McCarthy look pretty much useless. Caleb Williams' quarterback rating was 76.6. He did have an interception. Or McCarthy's, it was down in the 30s, and he just, but, his confidence was pretty shattered at the time as well. Thankfully, a nice recovery today for JJ McCarthy. Jordan Love, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, still had the quarterback rating up to 120.7. Josh Jacobs, smash mouth style, 20 carries, 86 yards, got in the end zone once. Packers, I hate to say it, are just a better team, I guess. I guess so. Notice I'm just saying I guess, because it's not what we want over here in Minnesota, but sometimes it just is what it is. It's just reality. Like in 1996, it was kind of just the way it was, And then 2010, the Packers had that amazing playoff run that ended up winning the whole thing. They also kind of lucked out getting a pretty weak Bears team in the NFC title game. Like, how did the Bears get there? It was weird. The Jay Cutler Bears got to the NFC title game, and it was this weird low-scoring game. And then just the Packers simply played better than the Steelers in the Super Bowl 2 weeks later. They just simply played better. And that's where maybe Green Bay does win it all this year. So my brother's father-in-law, David Kostek, was like, yeah, he thinks the Packers are going to win. And I don't think he's a Packer fan or anything. He's just being honest. So we'll see. Right now, if I'm a betting man, I say Rams and Bills maybe in the Super Bowl. Or Rams and Patriots, actually. I'm still leaning towards that way. Maybe the Bills. We'll see. Packers, I could see a Packers-Rams NFC title game with the Rams winning. And Patriots versus Bills in the AFC title game with the Patriots winning. And then the Patriots winning their 7th Super Bowl. That's right. That's right. That's right. We'll see. Might be the Rams winning their 3rd. Maybe their 2nd in Los Angeles. Let's keep going. But stinking Packers won. Detroit football. Detroit football. The Vikings will be heading to Dallas on Sunday night. Waiting all day for Sunday night. Yep. Well, yeah, that's great. Well, the Lions did what they did to the Cowboys. What they did in the 2nd round back in '91. They beat them. Yeah, they beat them. The Lions are 8-5, still a threat, no doubt about it. They're a playoff team. Cowboys dropped to 500, 6-1 because they tied the Green Bay Packers earlier in the year in the Michael Parsons Bowl, which was kind of funny. It was funny. Let's look at Detroit stuff first before we move on to the opponent. Jared Goff, 309 yards, a touchdown pass, quarterback rating of 111. Good for him. Montgomery got in the end zone once. 60 yards on 6 rushes. Jahmyr Gibbs somehow, someway was restricted quite a bit in this game. 12 rushes, only 43 yards. Oh, but wait, there's one small exception here. There's just one minor detail. He got in the end zone 3 times. Jahmyr Gibbs got in the end zone 3 times. Just one minor detail here, right? That's the funny part. Like, God, he only had 43 yards. What the heck? Oh, Imagine if that was the fantasy team, or maybe it's your opponent. You'd be like, oh, man. Yeah, if it's your opponent, you're going to be pissed. But that's pretty much the case. Detroit getting in the end zone. We'll see if the Vikings can have a pair of good, can have a solid running game. David Montgomery had some big moments. But at the end of the day, yeah, 35 long on 6 rushes. Just kind of wild overall, crazy game. Lots of yardage in this game. Dak Prescott, 376 yards, 2 interceptions. I mean, that's how you beat the Cowboys, is forcing Dak Prescott into mistakes. Just forcing him into mistakes because he's ever capable of doing that. 31 of 47, 346 yards. Quarterback rating was 79.7 because of the 2 interceptions. Williams on the ground, 67 yards. That's who he'd be going up against in Dallas. This one was in Ford Field, to be fair, which is a lot harder to win. 1 rushing touchdown, this and that for Williams, like I said. CeeDee Lamb, he's been kind of off injured all season, off and on, but he had a huge day statistically. 6 catches, 121 yards, but I guess he didn't get a touchdown. So, yeah, whatever it is. Flournoy, 9 catches, 115 yards, did get a touchdown there. Dak Prescott single passing touchdown. Aubrey made all of his kicks, including a 63-yard boom. 16 points if you're a fantasy holder of Aubrey. Good for you. If not, well, too bad, I guess. Cowboys definitely are a threat. They're not going to be easy to beat. For the Minnesota Vikings, obviously have all kinds of crazy history, like the infamous Drew Pearson push-off. That was where the hatred started for the Cowboys. You know, the obnoxious, cocky, arrogant team in the early 90s that we all hated. Couldn't stand them. They stayed good into the late 90s, and then, you know, unfortunately for Mr. Troy Aikman, he had concussion after concussion after concussion, including the playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings in that 99 season in the first round there. That was the end of his career, actually. He ended up retiring after that. Vikings did beat the Cowboys, only to get slaughtered by the St. Louis Rams in the second round, the soon-to-be Super Bowl team that year, and they did win, yes. In a very close game with the Tennessee Titans, who haven't been back since. So, it is what it is there. In fact, they haven't been close, the Titans. Cowboys are what they are. Talented, expensive, glitzy, and very mediocre in the win column. When they're good, they're really, really good. When they're not good, they're just not that good. I mean, or they just don't get the job done. They're a mess. They're expensive. They're what they are. Unfortunately, the Vikings' success rate in Dallas of late has been pretty crappy. And I don't know. Do you think the Vikings are going to beat the Cowboys right now? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll be cool to see JJ McCarthy. I mean, this is one of those intriguing matchups, isn't it? McCarthy has had some success in these big games like this. Cowboys lead the series 19-15 overall. Vikings have lost 3 in a row to the Cowboys. Last time the Vikings beat the Cowboys was that pretty good 2019 season, and that was when the infamous line by Mike Zimmer was, "You like how this tastes?" Oops, yeah, that one, the one I was joking about earlier. Not sure what the young lady upstairs is doing, if she's running relay races or rolling sticks on the floor. I have no idea what the hell she's doing. Vikings took a 14-0 lead. The Minnesota Vikings, anyway. I want to offend you like Red McCombs used to, the Vikings. Everybody thought, oh, he's going to move us to San Antonio. He refuses to say Minnesota. Now it almost sounds like she's bowling up there. She's not, but it sounds like it. It was a back-and-forth kind of game. 14-0 Vikings, 14-14. The Cowboys came rolling back. Dak Prescott threw 2 touchdown passes after Mr. After Mr. Cousins threw 2 touchdowns to Kyle Rudolph. And it was a back-and-forth battle. Vikings took the lead, kept the lead. Cowboys kind of got a little closer. But the Cowboys did take a 1-point lead. And then a clutch finish, and then the Vikings took the lead into the late into the third quarter, the very end of it. 3 touchdowns for Kyle Rudolph there. Pretty wild. And a 2-point conversion, apparently. That's where the Vikings, because it was a 21-20 game, that's where the Vikings got to 28-21. I don't know what happened there. It's kind of confusing. Oh, yeah, because Bailey made a field goal. I don't even get it. Yeah, Bailey made a couple of field goals. That's why it was 6 points there. So it wasn't like anybody missed extra points. Bailey was a former Cowboy, by the way. A couple of chip shot field goals. But the Vikings ended up winning the game. Cowboys made it close, but the Vikings defense finished off the job during that fourth quarter and beat the Cowboys. And Mike Zimmer said, "You like how this tastes?" That's what he said. Yes, he said it. Yes, I'm repeating myself and sounding kind of dorky here. So, my God. Yeah, because I had to backtrack to look at this. 91,188 people were in that stadium. Man, that place is big. Holy schmucks. That's too big. That is big. But anyhow, I don't think the Vikings are going to beat the Cowboys. I would like to believe they can. If they play anything like they did today, sure they could beat the Cowboys. It'd be a closer back-and-forth crazy battle. If McCarthy's sharp like that, I mean, anything's possible. Your quarterback comes out sharp and gets the job done, yes. The Dallas defense without Micah Parsons, much more beatable. Micah Parsons is that important, and boy, did that Dallas defense make us look like idiots years ago. I don't even want to remember that Halloween night. Micah Parsons came in and just made us look like idiots. And the Cowboys have a 3-game win streak on the Vikings right now. Right now, I'm going to say the Cowboys do beat the Vikings. Certainly not hoping for it, just for the sake of, I don't know, just for a good feeling. For the sake of viewership, it's more enjoyable to watch the Vikings win. Of course, you want a high draft pick and everything when you know you're probably not going to make the playoffs. Rather than just kind of hanging out right in the middle of the first round, you'd rather be a little higher. It'd be nice, like 10th. Remember that? 10th? 9th? 8th? Something like that. Instead of like 15th, 16th. So we'll see how this all turns out at the end of the day. But I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised if McCarthy had another multi-touchdown game and maybe gets over 200 yards passing. What do you think of that? So 2 touchdowns, 200 yards passing, but the Cowboys win the game. Unfortunately, final score of 31-27. It'll be a pretty good one. 31-27, but the Cowboys pull it off. Unfortunately, Prescott throws for 300 plus. He has an interception or 2, maybe a fumble. But unfortunately, again, I think the Cowboys just a little bit better than the Vikings in this one. And they get the job done, with that said. So we'll take a quick break, and we're going to hear from Mad Martin twice.
Greetings, Joey. Well, what was that garbage we had to endure yesterday? The weather's rubbish up here, which kind of suits my mind, to be honest, because it's also bloody depressing. What a season this is turning out to be. I'm at my 48th year of following the Vikings, nearly half a century. And you know what? I've come to the conclusion that this team has become less and less competitive over that half a century. Let's look at the Wilfs. 22 years they've had the tenure of this club. And in that 22 years, how many times have we done back-to-back playoffs? Yep, once. Once in 22 years. And purely because in 2009 they went out and got old man Favre because they had no solution at the quarterback position. And the guy led us on that fabulous run to the NFC title game where we got screwed. And then we went back in 2017 with old, I can't think of his name because I'm knackered. And again, we lost in the NFC title game, and we were well beaten in that NFC title game. And that's it. That's it in 22 years. It's not good enough. Not for a historic franchise like this that at times has been incredible and unfortunately has missed out on the big game. The problem, I think, the Wilfs are, in many respects, very good owners. They spent a lot of money on infrastructure. And they spent a ton of money in free agency this year. But why did they have to spend all that money? Because the GM they've got and the scouting department clearly are bloody useless at evaluating talent. Because you're not bringing in the young players on cheap contracts. So you're having to go out and buy in these over-the-hill veterans that haven't lived up to expectations this season. The problem with the Wilfs, as far as I'm concerned, is they're not prepared to stomach blowing the whole thing up, which is now a perfect opportunity to do. This competitive rebuild bollocks is pointless. It doesn't work. You've had 22 years to try this theory out of getting into the tournament in your competitive rebuilds, and it doesn't bloody work. 2 playoff losses under O'Connell. That's garbage as well. You've got the best wide receiver in the league. And this is what you end up with. It's just not good enough. So, personally, I'd like to see them go down the Chicago way. Blow the thing up. Spend a couple of years in purgatory. And then come out, look at Chicago now, number 1 seed in the NFC. And where are we? 4 and whatever. I don't even want to think about how many games we've lost. Is it 7, 8? Who knows? Who cares? Personally, I hope they don't win another game. If they do, they are not thinking about the future and rebuilding this team. And if that's the case, then the whole bloody lot should go. Because they're failing the fan base, they're failing the state, and anybody that has a remote interest in this team, you're failing them. It's as simple as that. You're failing us all. So do it, for God's sake. Make that effort. Yeah, I don't want 2 years of crap, but I'll take it. I'll quite happily take it if we can see a future. So winning any more games this season is, in my opinion, an absolute disaster. Get that decent draft position, trade out of it, use that in 27 with whatever pick you get, and trade up and get one of those promising quarterbacks that look in that trade. I mean, yet again, this team doesn't actually forward plan. Look at 2003. Cousins goes down in Lambeau. And what do? Attempt to still win stupid games and push themselves out of a position to nab one of those elite quarterbacks in the 2024 draft. You end up with the 5th pick. What does that tell you? And, looking back, I'm kind of wondering, why did so many people think McCarthy could be the answer? He came from the hardballed offence in Michigan, which was run first, run heavy, and he didn't have to do a great deal. But no, you draft him into an O'Connell offence, which is pass some more, perhaps have the odd run, just pass the deep balls, and the kid can't do it. Now, what were they looking at in the off-season practices? What actually made them think, oh, McCarthy can drive this car, can't he? He's got the talent. We just surround him with all these expensive free agents. Hey, and we're off to the playoffs. And unfortunately, we all bought into that, didn't we? We all bought into that. Even me, I thought, well, they could probably win 11 games with this roster. And if McCarthy's average, that, I think, was a reasonable expectation. But sitting here on the 1st of December, it's like, how the frig did any of us actually think that was realistic? There are so many issues now that are so glaring. Quasi, the scouting department, they can't evaluate talent, and they've got to go. You've got to get a GM in here that can evaluate young talent, and we can get a production line going of young players coming through on cheap contracts, and you fill in the gaps with quality free agents. And then you look at O'Connell. Now, in some ways, he has shocked me. This is the guy that said organisations fail quarterbacks. Well, hello, O'Connell. You're failing your quarterbacks. You're putting them in positions to fail. They can't win. They can't play the O'Connell way. It's very simple. You need a vet in there who has that ability, as we saw in Darnold last year. So why? Why has he not adapted? Why is he so rigid and won't move off this position when you have quarterbacks that cannot do it? It's mind-blowing. And if he's not on the hot seat next year, I would be very surprised, because this season has been an unmitigated screw-up. And I could say worse, really, couldn't I? I mean, I really feel like using quite a few profanities this morning, but I'll give that a miss. It's just, what the hell are they going to do? I suspect we're going to have a 2009 rerun with Rodgers coming here next season, and perhaps he'll take us deep into the playoffs before we get screwed somewhere along the line. And then in 27, the wheels fall off. Or will it be the Matt Jones era? Are they going to go and try and prize him out of San Francisco? It's just a depressing, and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel at the moment. You get this, we win 14 games last season, and look at us now. Sorry, look at us now. Absolutely garbage. And there's no other way to describe it. So, my conclusion is, new ownership that has the guts to blow it up, rebuild, new GM who can actually draft talent. And as to the head coach, give up play calling duties, please. Get someone in that will help their quarterbacks to succeed, rather than, I'm going to play the O'Connell way because it's brilliant. Yeah, whatever. And I hope they keep Brian Flores. I mean, yeah, defence hasn't been great at times, but it's done its job on the whole. I could almost say, actually, give Brian the head coaching job. Go find a bloody good OC that can lead the offence. But I guess that's too much to ask this season. Okay, Joey, I think I've probably spent long enough ranting. I could spend a lot longer ranting. I can imagine what your podcast will be like. Anyway, take care. Skol, brothers and sisters. Greetings, Joey. It's Friday morning and I'm doing another call-in, which I suppose tells you how pissed off I am at the state of the current team. Now, obviously lots coming out of Minneapolis this week in regards to what's going on internally. about who picked McCarthy. Was it front office? Was it O'Connell? Well, personally, I don't really care who did that. You're both accountable. But I see that O'Connell has had a come to Jesus moment and is in self-reflection mode. Personally, I think that's a bit late in the day because ultimately you have failed the quarterback position this year. Now, I don't know what they expected. You've got a rookie in essence. And that's another point. I've read also that in the previous year, McCarthy was pretty much left to his own devices. I get he's injured, but surely you can do a lot of other work with him to prepare him for the next season so that he is up to more speed. Because let's be honest, college football and the NFL are completely different beasts. The amount of preparation you have to do as the QB is immense. And both these players were thrown into the O'Connell way, which you probably need 2 or 3 years, really, of playing football at such a high level before you have that opportunity. I think from what we can see, it has truly been a shit show at that position. And there are other people that are accountable. Our wide receivers, for example, have dropped so many catchable balls this year, especially Addison. I don't know if the guy wants out, but if he does, and the way he's played this year, I would say, mate, you're not going to get a bucket of cash like you're expecting. And as far as I'm concerned, you don't get rid of the kid because he can play next year. And then you can trade him if necessary. Again, as we said, there are so many issues. And what concerns me now is that O'Connell's had this come to Jesus moment. Clearly someone from higher up, whether it be ownership, has had a word with him about whatever, and that he needs to do something about it. Now, my concern is O'Connell will stay, and to save his job, they will go and trade for Matt Jones and use at least a second to do it. And then after next year, and let's remember, it's a 4th place schedule. We play the NFC South. So you know what's going to happen. We're going to win 10, 11 games, make the playoffs, have to pay Jones a ton of money for the pleasure. And we're going to be in this same damn cycle of, make the playoffs, one and done. Not a very good year, we didn't make the playoffs. Instead of having the guts to persist with McCarthy, I still think the kid could be something given the opportunity and the support, because ultimately that is what it requires. And if 26 was garbage, there's a damn good quarterback class coming out in 27, and you try again. You don't persist with this, we've got to overpay for a mediocre quarterback and end up where we've been for the last 25 years, which is brutally painful. Anyway, Jay, I better leave it there. And Skol, brothers and sisters. Soon be Christmas if there's any positivity to think about.
Wow, that was awesome. Mad Martin, that was 2 big time calls, a lot of passion, and it's just like, you could say a lot to unpack, but in a lot of ways, it's like, he's reflecting a lot of what we feel with this organization, how we're just kind of stuck in this constant cycle of, we can't develop quarterbacks and we got to be stubborn about, in this case, we just can't develop quarterbacks in this organization, dating back to God knows when. And in the Wolves' history, like you said, they've made the playoffs twice. They've had the playoffs, they've had 2 years making the playoffs consecutively, only one time. That was 2008, a mediocre team that won a division. I still remember way back then. That was my first year podcasting Purple Mafia, saying this might be the weakest division champion I've ever seen. And I'm sure I annoyed a lot of people when I said that, but they were. They were a very weak division champion with Tavares Jackson and Gus Farad, whatever. And then the next year, okay, you get Brett Favre. So, of course, you're going to make the playoffs in 2 consecutive years, going from that weak team to the much better team. And, well, ever since then, the Vikings can't even string together 2 consecutive playoff appearances during the Wilfs era. Yeah, it's like we're obsessed with kind of this win now mode when we're not winning now if we can't even make the playoffs 2 years in a row. It's just like stupid. It's a big joke. It's like the joke's on us as fans, people that spend tons of money going to games. The joke's on you guys, it seems like. And I don't like saying that. I think that's mean sounding, but it kind of is. It's extremely sad, extremely frustrating. I can't even imagine how much pain people that travel to England or wherever to follow this team have been going through over the years, and especially this season, seeing performances with quarterback ratings in the 30s and 40s and 50s. It's extremely painful. So, yeah, I mean, wow. So, yes, you're reflecting a lot of, like, you did an amazing job, Dave Martin, Mad Martin, you did an amazing job really putting out the passion and, opening a vein as to how things are with this organization and how you truly feel with how things have been. Like how you said, you've been a fan about 50 years almost now, 48 years officially. About there with me, it's been 33 years. I was a late bloomer. I was 13 years old in 1992 when I finally became a full-time fan of the Vikings in the NFL. The Chiefs kicker just doinked the kick. I love it. They're still being shut out. I love it. So obviously when a lot of you are listening to this, the game's already long over, I'm sure. But that's funny. I love seeing the Chiefs lose. Yep, like what my pastor at Living Word, Jim Hammond, was saying, yes, he likes watching, he watches sports sometimes to watch certain teams lose. Like he wants that team to lose. He included the Cowboys, the Packers, and I believe it was Notre Dame and Ohio State. Well, if it's football, for me, I don't get into college much. It'd be the Chiefs, the Packers. Yes, you want the Packers to lose. I don't hate the Bears or the Lions that much. So it'd be like, I don't know, the Cowboys, sure. Yep, I don't like the Cowboys. That's what we're playing up and coming and so on and so forth. But I'll get off of that. Let's get back to Mad Martin. Yeah, I mean, they're just reflecting on how this team constantly, like they won't develop quarterbacks, so then we got to go into this same stupid cycle of signing a veteran guy, and then, since we let Sam Darnold go, oh boy, this time it's, I got getting Mac Jones and then signing him to a huge amount of money, and that ultimately doesn't get us really anywhere special at all. Whereas it's about time this franchise developed a quarterback that could possibly take us to a Super Bowl someday. And you're hoping McCarthy could be that guy. And, yeah, like I was saying earlier in the episode as well, about how, hey, it needs to be McCarthy in 26. And if, it ends up being a flop, he really isn't a good quarterback, 2027 is the big quarterback class again. Now, of course, that does not guarantee anything. A lot of us saw that same draft with, Jake Locker, guys like that, being a great quarterback class. And I don't know, I mean, was that the Andrew Luck draft? I think it was just him. I think he was the only one that was good. Everyone else pretty much was a huge bust, honestly. So there's that too that we have going for us. Blaine Gabbert was a huge bust. He was supposed to be very good. Look at Trevor Lawrence. He was looked on as a phenom. Is he a phenom? I don't think he is. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a phenom. I don't. Bryce in Carolina? He's finally getting his head out of somewhere. And yes, this is the other complaint that Dave Martin was kind of like indirectly bringing up as well. Like how, look at McCown. Look at McCown as the quarterback's coach with Bryce over there in Carolina. Think about it. Like that's been he was terrible. He was terrible there. And then when he leaves, Bryce gets much better over there for the Carolina Panthers. So it's just kind of ironic how all that kind of stuff worked out at the end of the day. Sorry, I'm being kind of weird here. But no, I mean, how he was lousy. And now he comes here to help develop JJ McCarthy. And you're seeing a lot of the same stuff. Bryce Young, so I've been kind of slow on that. Bryce Young is a shorter guy, too, which is kind of funny. But no, how he had a lousy start to his career, and McCown was the quarterback's coach, especially the rookie year there. Just an awful start to his career, and he's been significantly better this year. And McCown being quarterback's coach here, it's been not too good with JJ McCarthy, except till finally today. So it's like finally an encouraging sign, and we'll see how that turns out. But amazing call in. I don't want to just kind of repeat. Obviously nice to have Dave Martin, Mad Martin have the floor, and to cut open a vein the way he did. I think that's amazing, and it's I mean, you're reflecting a lot of our feelings, but doing an amazing job of getting it out there. Like I think he's Dave Martin. You're the kind of guy I could sit and talk about football with forever. I think one day, somehow, some way, obviously with the time constraint, the time differences and such, it's not the easiest thing in the world. Somehow, some way, we should record a segment together. Somehow, some way, where we could just kind of, bounce off each other, frustrations and ideas with this Minnesota Vikings franchise, like what we've been through, and what would be, what we believe the Vikings should do. Kind of like how you were saying earlier. So I think you did an amazing job, and I think you deserve a ton of credit. Yes, it's that was an amazing pair of call-ins, and that's why we value you so much here on Purple Mafia. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like weekly call-in at the bare minimum would be a huge thing. I mean, even if it's every other week. But I mean, calling in at all to me, I mean, it's just anything from Dave Martin is a huge plus to Purple Mafia. Makes the show better. Speaking of Dave Martin, Mad Martin, here we go to the Twitter account at Purple Mafia Show. Yep, and Dave Hickey. So, the Daves are dominating. So, Okay, yep. Let me just make sure. Okay, so here it is. Mad Martin jumps in December the 1st. What's your email, as I've sent a call-in to Yahoo email. Yep, and that ended up being the correct one. I was telling him, yep, that's the correct one. Dave Martin was saying off-season podcast sounds like a good idea, especially with the off-season that's coming up. What were we doing? Yep. Oh, maybe like we're doing a show together or something, or at least a segment or two. Something, like something, is what's his name would be like. Yep, because this is like a mini little lightning round here earlier in the week on December the 2nd. So let's get to it right now, shall we? It says, Dave Martin says, you are absolutely right in saying there's a pattern to this team. Yep, the pattern, especially over the last 2 decades. I'm not sure KOC gets fired, but the seat he will be on will be white hot in 26. Yep. Again, lightning round. Now, as to blame, I can't put it on the quarterbacks. I agree. I put it squarely on KOC. He's not helping them. He's putting them in massive position to fail with a stupid concept of a high-powered offense, which they are unable to execute. The more I think about it, the more he needs to be fired. Yeah, I mean, he was setting them up to fail. Like, literally today was finally, you saw the difference. Because, yes, at the time, all that was still fresh on our minds when Dave Martin was posting this one. I just find it sickening that we've ended up with a passive version of Zimmer. Yeah, like bleep, we're going to keep forcing our way through everything. Good teams have balance. With KOC, there is no balance to his niche offense. I think the O'Connell way and his concept, the chances of making the big game are almost impossible. 2 playoff losses in 2 years. Yeah, and that was pathetic. 14 wins and you don't even advance. It's just, it's pathetic. 2 playoff losses. Yep, it's ridiculous. Continuing, and it's not just the fact that they have a playoff season, and then the following season they regress significantly, when surely you would expect them to progress. It's starting to feel like the worst season in this franchise's history. It's horrible to say, but we have to actively root for losses and potentially being able to draft. Being able to have a draft around like 6, 7 or so. I actually think they go down the Rodgers path. We end up with a 2010 version of the Vikings. Yeah, that would be a huge disaster if the Vikings did that. Yeah, we would get the 2010 version. Because like Rodgers right now, he's just okay. Like the Steelers are 7-6. That's after a win, So it's like, yeah, that'd be lame. That'd be just simply lame if the Vikings went that direction. And I like Rodgers. I respect his career. Okay, so here we go. Mad Martin says so now we're up to today. Only taken O'Connell 14 games to find the balance in play calling. What a joke. If JJ McCarthy continues to play like this, that's promising, but ultimately it's a pointless win in a lost season. I was saying exactly, this is the balanced offense we thought we were going to get the entire season. And it's like, yeah, now we don't. Or, yeah, like we waited that long, and it's like too late. I was writing up, this is the balanced offense we thought we were getting the entire season. Instead, it took 14 weeks and 8 losses to get there. Continuing, Dave Martin says, isn't it just have a question? Isn't it just have to ask question, where has this team been hiding all season? If there's a positive, we are seeing baby steps improvements with JJ McCarthy. Yep, and it is baby steps, not giant steps here. It's kind of a giant step of a game individually, just for an individual game per se, but overall, big picture, yes, it's a baby step because it's just one game, and it's against a team that's, not good. But at least you hit a couple home runs off of a pitcher that's vulnerable, that kind of thing. Like imagine that, just kind of using a different type of analogy there. Excuse me, like anecdotes. I'm not good with words all of a sudden. Like sometimes I'm really sharp with vocabulary, and some days it's just like, duh. They went out and did things. He threw the ball well. He did things. I hate that feeling, but I don't know if it's not enough coffee or what the heck. But as per usual, we're screwing up the draft position. Yep, you're right about that. Just like all those years ago, back in 2010, the Vikings beat a crappy Washington team that year. A lot of good that did us, right? I think that happened also in. Did that also happen the year we were 3-13? We beat like a crappy team. We could have been 2-14, something like that. We were 3-13. Remember that year, 2011? Awful team. Mad Martin continuing. This is exactly the team I thought we would be. We're going to win 3 of our last 4 or something stupid, and we end up like picking in the high teens. Yeah, yep. Wouldn't that be lame? And that could be exactly where it goes. Dave Hickey jumping in out of Iowa. At this point in the season, I was just kind of hoping for a good performance by JJ, and they lose somehow. Yep, yeah, because that's kind of what we're thinking, right? Like the best of both worlds. JJ McCarthy's showing promise, but we still lose to maintain our draft position, right? They lose somehow by some little mishap. Not his fault, but he looks good, and they keep losing, but he still keeps looking good. It would be a better pick. Did you see the interview on YouTube with Fran Tarkington? If not, you should watch it. Oh yeah, Fran Tarkington said something very fascinating, and it says a lot about Bud Grant in a lot of ways. A lot of people immortalize Bud Grant like this and that. Now, I got to be very careful what I say. In fact, I'm not even going to get into that. It's an off-field thing that I lost some respect for Bud Grant. Something he said on Dan Barrero a couple years ago before he died. Not good. But we'll get off of that. God, I'm so tempted to say it. I just got to get off of that. But this would make you lose some respect for Bud Grant as well. About the lack of... They just didn't really practice going into those Super Bowls, hardly at all. And Fran Tarkington said we were not prepared for those games, for those Super Bowl games. That's one of the main reasons we lost those Super Bowls. They were not prepared because they didn't really practice. That's messed up, isn't it? Like, and Bud Grant did not have them practice. They just wanted to have them kind of rest and whatever, and just go into the game like that. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So yes, that is nuts when you think about that. That's absolutely nuts. Yes, and thank you for bringing that to the table. I almost didn't bring that up. In fact, I wouldn't have if not for Dave Hickey right there. So thank you so much for that. Let's check the Facebook if anything going on there. What the heck just happened? What the heck just happened here? It's just like going to some... Geez, it went into some weird ad or something. Come on. What's going on? Where's my page? Oh my God. What just happened here? What is happening? I just want to see the comments. Can you please not do that? Okay, so unfortunately there's literally nothing. What the heck? Is everybody bored with me? So this is on the Facebook page. Like literally nothing. That's depressing. But yeah, I mean, hey, Mad Martin and Dave Martin and Dave Hickey, especially Dave Martin, carried this show today with those huge call-ins. So, and kind of got a lot of feelings off his chest. And you know what? He's right. He speaks for a lot of us that have been around this franchise for many years, And, like the whole Wilf era it's been frustrating. Like you'd think it'd be better, but it really hasn't been. We've been just kind of stuck in the mediocrity and decision making that's just kind of this win now attitude rather than trying to develop somebody. And it's not a winning attitude. Franchises don't win Super Bowls this way. Like Denver got, you could say, yeah, like 2015, Denver got kind of lucky. They wound up with Peyton Manning, and obviously it's a historic player. And especially in 2015, though, that team had a phenomenal defense, and that's the main reason why they won that Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's the main reason. It wasn't because Peyton Manning was so great. In fact, he was at the end of his rope there. 2013 and 2012, the Broncos were insanely good, but they ultimately didn't get to the Super Bowl those years. Or Peyton Manning was insanely good, but the Broncos didn't get to the Super Bowl those years because the defense wasn't where it needed to be. And once it was, holy cow, they got it done. That defense was so good, they stopped the Patriots, and then they ended up beating the Carolina Panthers as well. A 15-1 Carolina Panthers team was pretty much rendered almost useless against that Denver defense. And that's the main reason they won that Super Bowl, not because of Peyton Manning. But it's just ironic how all that kind of turned out at the end of the day. They got kind of lucky, but also they did a good job developing that defense as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's just usually going the veteran road doesn't get it done. It usually doesn't. Like St. Louis, I guess it did. You could say because there was a trade for Matthew Stafford. Again, that's kind of a rare case, but it was also more of a long-term veteran type of thing, not like here and there. And it was a guy that had absolutely done it before. That's the thing. Like not won Super Bowls, but had done an amazing job in Detroit. He'd put up spectacular numbers forever. That'd be Matthew Stafford. Whereas like Mac Jones, he's had one good year, and it's not or one good portion of a year so far. So that would be extremely frustrating as well. No matter how positive you look at Mac Jones, it can be like it's like an Alex Smith move at best, with the watching the Redskins or whatever, or the Kansas City Chiefs, where they jump up, they're a playoff team, but they don't win, and then you drafted Patrick Mahomes behind Alex Smith, and then Patrick Mahomes ends up being the quarterback and. Yeah, I hate the Chiefs, but, he brought them 3 Super Bowls so far. So we'll see how that turns out at the end of the day. But, that's the better direction to go. The 49ers developed Joe Montana and Steve Young. Steve Young originally was with the Buccaneers, but he was not too good there. Went to San Francisco, and things were kind of put together nicely. And he ended up being a spectacular backup that ended up being a spectacular starter and a Hall of Famer. So on, so forth, and da-da-da-da-da. So since then, they've pretty much been looking for that franchise legendary quarterback until they had Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy take over in surprising fashion. But, you get the point there. Wow, Dave Martin, that was absolutely spectacular, and I can't thank you enough for those amazing call-ins. Tons of credit coming your way. You are amazing. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Dead serious. I mean... Seriously, thank you so much. Those were awesome. Anybody out there, if you could put a positive 5-star rating for this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other app that allows you to do so, please do. Please help this show. Click like, crush the like button on the videos. YouTube.com YouTube, it's Purple Mafia Show. Instagram, it's Purple Mafia Show. Facebook, there's the link on there. Just look up Purple Mafia Show on Facebook. Hopefully you'll find it. Twitter. X, whatever the heck it is, Purple Mafia Show. So I try to keep it nice and simple. Instagram, Threads, all that. Purple Mafia Show, Purple Mafia Show, Purple Mafia Show. So, yes, positive 5-star ratings if you could. Crush the like button and subscribe on YouTube. Those are separate videos. They're separate. They're not like snippets of the show, even though it's like it's similar information because it's the same game. It's a post-game, like immediate post-game thoughts after the game. That type of thing, like the immediate reaction. You can get it's like a 5 to 8 minute video every week. But the last few weeks I was out because of lawn service work and other unfortunate off the microphone event that took place on November 24th. So let's just say I got hurt a little bit, and that was not the best. It just wasn't the best, and I'm still kind of in pain from it. And it sucks, but we'll see how that turns out. With that said, thank you again so much for listening. Merry Christmas season. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa for those of you that celebrate those. I hope you have yourself a wonderful few weeks here, and we'll see how things turn out. More than likely, the next show, I think, is going to be recorded, released on Monday morning after the game. That's my guess. More than likely, with the circumstances, again, off the mic, going into that one. We'll see how it turns out. But more than likely, that show won't be released until Monday morning. That's my guess. So, and there may or may not be a video next week either, which is a bummer, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there will be. We'll see how things turn out. But it's like a 50-50 thing with the video. And again, the show, I would hope, is going to still get recorded and will be released Monday morning at some point, because it's a Sunday night game. And we'll just see how that all turns out. With that said, thank you again so much for listening. God bless you, and we will talk to you in a week.